There's no intro. It's like I was saying, you need 70 people to play a Wagner tune. So that means that no organization is going to get that many people together without charging tickets. Now they've got a performance going, possibly a recording they own the rights to, and that's why classical music isn't in the public domain generally.
It isn't?
No.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I
guess that makes sense.
Poor Huey Piano Smith, though. I don't think he's going to say anything. So I think we're okay.
Okay.
Right. Something that we're not okay on is the fact that we need to get this going. I got the show all set up. I'm good to go. I just have to pull the trigger before all of our COVideo feeds end up in their own personal pan COVideo feed. It's its own show now, a separate show on iTunes.
Aww.
And when the hammer really comes down on that, we'll definitely let people know.
Yes.
But up to this point, still on the old feed. But look for the future to find it on another feed.
Yes.
Speaking of the future,
yes,
it comes after the past.
It does.
And we're going to talk about a film today that's from the past, but is still kind of remembered. But I was like looking through my Facebook feed. Still on. I know. And I was something about Farscape. And it's like, it's been 20 years since Farscape came out. I think it's actually been a little more. And I was thinking about it and how it's the best sci-fi show ever made. And how it could be possible in 20 years that nobody would come up with a better sci-fi show than Farscape. Clearly, well, nobody has. But the problem is, as I go forward in my ignorance, the problem is that my measuring thing, if the next king's foot is smaller than a foot, then the houses are going to be real small. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that like my thing for judging things, and pay attention because this is the only meeting you halfway you're going to get from me.
Okay.
Is that my thing for judging things was calibrated back when things were really good. Now,
I see what you're saying.
The originals, the spinoff of the Vampire Diaries, really good? I can't say. I'm going to guess. I'm going to flip a coin and say no. But I mean, how could I? I didn't grow up watching teen vampire soaps, so I don't know. It could be the best teen vampire soap in existence.
Right.
And I don't think anybody's going to make a run for Dark Shadows on that one. So
no, I feel like Dark Shadows was really unique when it first came out, but I don't think
there's a lot of filler in Dark Shadows. It's a soap.
It is a soap, and I think that there are a lot of people who remember it fondly, but I don't know how many people actually go back and rewatch Dark Shadows.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it's like on syndication anywhere, that
Sure.
anybody today even knows about it.
Well, they know about the Johnny Depp film. Like you go back to like Kolchak the Night Stalker. I mean, I like Darren McGavin and Spooks too, but pretty low budget, about $13.50 per episode.
I haven't seen it.
Well, you can thank it for the X-Files, but
okay, sure. Thank you for the X-Files.
No, you know what? I repudiate my entire previous argument because you go back and you watch the X-Files, and there's some great episodes, but there's a lot of crap in there too.
Oof. Yeah.
The black sucking vampire. Speaking of vampires.
Yeah.
But Facebook, Farscape.
Yeah.
Hey, just think about it. Ben Browder. Call Data. Call Mark Zuckerberg. Get it going.
Oh my God.
Farscape just hits at such a high level.
Yeah.
For the amount of money they didn't spend on it. So they just scrambled, and you're just saying, and that's where we are. That's the kind of show it's going to be.
You're talking. You're not giving me a chance to talk.
I never let you talk.
That's what I'm saying.
True equality.
I think a lot of times, and I think you and I have talked about this previously, but I think a lot of times when you don't have a lot of money, it forces you to be more creative in how you create things. Don't give me that.
I was doing the jerk-off motion.
Yeah, but I think a lot of times you...
Why are there so many bad fake animes on Netflix then? They clearly don't have any money, yet they're just terrible.
Well, it doesn't work for everything,
no, I
right?
guess it doesn't.
But like some things, like they get so much money and they're just like overproduced and they're not really done.
Well, let's talk about a $10 million Toby Hooper movie.
Yeah, right.
Let's talk about your film.
Yes, I picked Poltergeist.
Poltergeist.
Yes.
This is a time of spooks and creeps and ghosts, goblins descend.
It was on my list, but I kind of wanted to. I'm psyching up for Halloween, and I kind of wanted to watch a scarier movie, and heard a lot of things, and
Steven Spielberg,
right?
The master of spookies.
I know.
It's from 1982.
It is.
Here's what happens in the film: Flap Haverstam and his family move into Steve and Diane Freeling live in a planned community in California, and he is a real estate developer.
And his company built the community.
Yeah, which is like, I don't know, maybe it's company policy that you have to live in the houses you're trying to sell.
Know.
But is that really his dream? And then later in the film, when he tries to sweeten the deal, he's like, I'll give you a bigger one of these prefab houses.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'd like to live somewhere else.
Yeah, right.
Whatever. Anyway, he lives in this planned community. Everything is going as planned. Life continues in America.
Yeah.
But maybe not, because they've got 3 kind of precocious kids. The littlest one, Carol Ann, is the most precocious of them all. And one night she is sucked into the closet by a spooky, scary something or other.
Yep.
We don't know. She disappears.
Yes.
The family goes to... They don't call the Ghostbusters because this is 2 years before the Ghostbusters, but they go
They
to
don't bust any ghosts either.
they go to whatever the equivalent is at the local college, that paranormal department in the local college that exists in all these movies.
Right, there's a paranormal
They send a team out and go, whew, you got some real cowboys in here.
Yeah.
And we go out and we get Zelda Rubinstein. Don't care what her real name is, or her name of the character name is.
Yeah.
Zelda Rubinstein's the best name.
Yeah, right.
And she says, we must get these ghosts out of the house.
Yes.
They do save Carol Ann, and everything's fine, but not. And that's how I'm going to avoid spoiling, I guess, the last 15 minutes of the movie. But
right.
basically, it all kind of works out.
Uh-huh.
Because Coach is there.
Because Craig T. Nelson is there.
Get these ghosts out of here.
Yeah,
Come on.
right.
That's my coach.
Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah.
I'm thirsty.
You're thirsty?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know how, like, when you drink Coke and it's like, this is like, maybe not Coke. Pick your favorite drink. And, it's a taste sensation and it's refreshing. But then sometimes you're like, I'm really thirsty. And you drink like a lot of Coke and it's like, Coke is not meant to be drank this much.
Fast.
I should maybe switch to water.
I know what you're
but
saying.
It's just refreshing me. This is the dark side of refreshment that they don't talk about. You never talk about this on TV. Never. Sorry, go ahead.
Where to start? I have a lot of questions, but I feel like
I can answer them. Maybe.
I feel like maybe okay. Maybe I'll just start with that then. So we find out later a little bit of what's going on. I mean, should we? I mean, it's the movie's over 30 years old. Isn't it okay to spoil it?
Yeah, just spoil whatever.
So he found out his boss built the planned community over a graveyard, and he didn't even move the deceased. He just moved the headstones, which is like beyond crappy.
Yeah, I hadn't seen this in a while, and I thought that I remembered that it was like built on an Indian burial ground or something like that. But then as it went on, the boss is like, or they're talking about how, so there's this like weird like matte painting shot where they're standing next to, they'll build your house right here, right next to the rickety picket fence graveyard with the spooky tree with all the crows in it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, it's probably not going to be Native Americans. And in the end, no, it wasn't Native Americans. It was just like rich white people that had, I guess, look, anybody could be buried in their gold jewelry if they're going to the other side, right?
Yeah,
but it just seemed like it was rich white people. So
I think so.
Somehow, like, leaving out that, like, hackneyed sort of trope, somehow more of an insult to the Native Americans. Maybe Spielberg was
because
like,
they made
I don't want to
reference to it.
Yeah, but then they just to let you remember that they didn't forget about that trope. They're like, it's not like this was an Indian burial ground,
right?
I guess like no-cal white people can get real mad at stuff too when they're dead.
I guess, but you
didn't recycle. Ooh.
So this planned community, we get a big wide shot of it at the beginning, right? It's really big, but for whatever reason, all of this paranormal activity seems to be focused on Craig T. Nelson and his family's house.
They want to see the manager. These white people are dead Karens.
I guess, and they said that they were it's mentioned early on that they were the first family to move in.
Right.
So maybe that's part of it too.
Right.
But what I want to know is, why is this happening now? Like, how long have they frickin' been there? This is like we're on like phase 4, 5, 6 or something.
Yeah, the dead people the ghosts are like, if they get to phase 3, I'm going to lose my shit.
I know, right? Like, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting. I mean, I think it would have made more sense if there was some sort of inciting incident.
Well,
or if
you have to watch the
like,
prequel.
There's a prequel?
I don't know. There are 2 sequels.
Yeah.
That feature the same family. At least one of them does. That's like some Insidious shit there.
The second,
Nothing is original. Nothing is.
The second film, features the same family and the same actors. The third one...
Well, then not the daughter.
What?
Not the daughter.
Which daughter?
So let's talk about the fun stuff. We're really
boy.
not... I get your point. Let's just say point logged about the little boxes on the hillside made it ticky-tacky. Because you're taking a long time to get it out. We don't have a lot of time.
I'm just saying, I don't understand why this is happening now. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yes. Point received.
Okay.
Maybe that's the next level. They see all those foundations poured, and they're like, oh, we got to get the ghost group together.
I guess.
We got to have a ghost talk. So the little girl in the movie is Heather O'Rourke. She plays Carol Ann. She was discovered by... It's literally one of those... Come on, Steve. She was discovered by Steven Spielberg on like an MGM tour. Like she was on a tour, and he's like, that's the girl right there.
That girl with platinum.
So he immediately put her in this, and then she did a couple more films, I think, and then died very mysteriously. Well, it wasn't mysterious. We know what it is. She died of intestinal stenosis.
That sounds really painful.
Which is like usually, preceded by usually it's like genetic or there are risk factors. And she didn't have any. She just her tummy hurt one day. She had a heart attack, and they took her to the hospital and tried to fix her, and she died. And that was like in '88. So that's not great. Dominique Dunn, the girl that played the older daughter, Dana, was strangled to death by her boyfriend in her driveway 3 months after the movie came out.
Whoa!
Yeah.
What?
And then there's probably some other stuff. This is one of those cursed movies like The Omen where people are like, oh, isn't it funny that human beings die?
It's not funny. So I looked ahead, and Heather, the little girl, Carol Ann, was in both the second and third film.
Cool.
But
she's working.
Yeah.
But if Steven Spielberg
wow.
had never found her, would she have died still? Steve?
Probably.
What's it worth? Was it worth Poltergeist? Because
Wow.
here's my review.
Well, we were watching it, and you were saying it's taken a really long time to find the plot. Like, where are we going here?
It takes forever to find the plot.
And you're right. I mean,
They're
they're
all
is happening?
They're all goofing and guffawing around, and the
boys,
contractors are eating their chili, and
which
even
never pays off.
And no, what is he going to fart chili or something?
I don't know.
And they're
something bad happens.
Everybody's eating in every scene.
There's so much weird eating in this.
Yes, and the mom and
even
dad
with the dog
are getting high, and the kid doesn't like the tree, but the tree won't eat him for another 20 minutes, and it's like we're like 40 minutes in before we get, the tree tries to eat the kid.
But like, if they've been living here a long time, why is the kid freaked out by the tree now?
It's coming to a head, let's say, and then we plant the scary clown. Kind of like a...
Oh, my God.
Is it like a red herring? But then when you don't use
like it,
and then you tack another 15 minutes on the end of the film where, no, there's more.
No.
Poltergeist 1.5.
Right.
Which is just like, what? So here's let's just get right into it.
Yeah.
Is Zelda a fraud? Does she have any idea what she's talking about?
Well, but
first,
she didn't...
they have to go into the light, then not go into the light. Then they got to go into the light again, but not. And then she's like, the house is clean. Clearly, the house is not clean. A giant spirit skeleton Halloween store skeleton is going to come out of the closet later.
But what I want to know, because she was like to Craig T. Nelson, no, not yet. Like, she was helping.
Very confusing about the light. Very confusing.
Yeah, she was supposedly helping the other spirits who were good but were trapped, like, cross over.
And this is like Steven Spielberg. We should really know what the light is. Oh, no, wait a minute. I've seen a Spielberg movie before. Oh. You never know what the light is. Okay. It's just a bunch of... So there was a big flap when this came out because Steven Spielberg was working on E.T., which came out in 1981. But movies don't come out the year they're made. Mm-hmm. So he was working on E.T. He was contractually obligated by Amblin Entertainment, or whoever it was, to not work on anything else. He couldn't put his name on a film while he was working on E.T. And I think it was because you would never do this today, but it's like he was sort of like signed to a deal. Like they wanted to say like, this is the Steven Spielberg movie. There's no other work to interfere with the gloriousness that is
Wow.
E.T. So he picked this movie out. He like storyboarded it. He produced
wrote
it,
it.
and basically picked Tobe Hooper, who at this point had directed Texas Chainsaw Massacre, would go on to direct The Underrated Life Force.
I love Life Force. I've never seen Chainsaw Massacre. Should I put that on my list?
Yeah, put on the list.
Okay.
So he comes in, and then right before the movie came out, he basically like wrote a letter to Variety or something like that summarized as, "I didn't direct like a frame of this thing. Steven was on set with his little hat every day and basically like calling the setups and doing just about everything. Like I got to say action a couple times." And
That's so
Spielberg
exciting in a lot
took
of
out a
ways.
full-page ad in the trades saying, "I'm sorry that we, had a misunderstanding about this, but this is, 100% your creative vision," or blah, blah, whatever. It's like, well, smooth move, X-Lax, because this thing made, $120 million on $10 million. So you launched Tobe Hooper's career. And I believe, when you tell me that, I believe it. Because what's it concerned with? Children and light.
Yeah, right.
The two Steven Spielberg things.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just a
yeah.
little girl looking off camera, and the audience is having seizures because, geez, they didn't worry about strobes back then. Huh?
No, it sure didn't seem like it.
But the weird thing is that Steven Spielberg movies are usually more tightly plotted than this. They definitely have
More
a
direction.
ton of character. People laugh when he casts. Well, let's not go down that road. But anyway, I was going to say his wife, but let's just say he casts people who aren't necessarily super famous or going to be in something or hot and upcoming. I mean,
Right.
Karen Allen had been in stuff, but she just was like the perfect person to play Marion. Like he's a good caster for that kind of thing. And so, Craig T. Nelson, Joe Beth Williams, they carry the movie with their personality. Also, the Zelda, obviously, Zelda Rubinstein. And then the other lady,
I don't remember her name.
Dr. What's her name?
The paranormal psychologist.
Played by Beatrice Straight.
Yeah.
Was great too. And it's the character. Spielberg knows this. You have to have character, and you have to have. Oh boy, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that there was a more rewarding female-female relationship in this movie than in all of Ghostbusters 2016. Just the fact that
I see what you're
the
saying.
one, it is weird to have like why do we need two Doctor whatever's, like why does Zelda come in at the end?
Right,
Did
it's
you
a
discuss?
little weird.
Was she touring MGM?
Because it's weird to me because the paranormal psychologist, as soon as Zelda shows up, she does next to nothing.
Right,
Like, give her
but
something
before
else
them,
to do.
Right, but before them,
Yeah.
instead of just being the character who comes in and is like, we got some ghosts in here or whatever, she clearly cares about this. It's the sort of thing that the original Ghostbusters go through, where they've been doing this sort of theory all their lives, and then they discover a full torso apparition or whatever it is.
Right.
And now they're fascinated but also horrified by it. But she has the chance to bond with the Diane, the wife, because we're still in they went to college in the late 60s probably. We're still in this like I'm okay, you're okay, hippie dippy phase where she's like, no, it's about energy and stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
And so
right.
she's like a believer who ends up wearing magic underwear in the last scene. I didn't understand that really at all. But
I don't know.
But just like except for the fact that they whisper throughout the entire scene.
Yeah.
Bad choice.
I think so too.
But I don't know, like I liked their relationship, and I thought that was, in a movie that's really about saving your daughter and family and all that, and like even though Dad is just pounding brewskis in the middle of the day with a spliff behind his ear, keeping it together, I haven't seen the sequels. If they get divorced, it's not going to surprise me. Now you can haunt two houses for the price of one.
Wow. I mean, like, I agree with.
Come on.
What?
Look, weren't you saving it up? I talked for so long.
Yeah, I just kind of lost my train of thought.
You weren't, but all you were doing was thinking. How about if I ask you some questions?
Okay.
I guess you haven't seen a lot of Tobe Hooper films.
No.
Do you think that this is all directed by Spielberg?
Honestly, I would believe it. Why would Toby say something like that?
No
if
offense
it wasn't
to
true.
True.
Because how does he benefit from that?
He
doesn't.
No. Well, if maybe he felt like the cut was out of his control and it was going to be bad, because you and I agree, it's got problems.
It does.
You could go take this into the editing suite, lose 10, 15 minutes, and probably streamline it, and we just get it done. And then you're ready to make the second one, because clearly they wanted to make a bunch more. You know, they would never let this happen now, but now they've got this figured out. You just like Conjuring, Annabelle. Like you just bust them out. And I don't think that like this is so important and like so amazing that we have to like just sit for a few years and think about it. Like you should just spin a bunch of these out. Like you got a fun family that you want to hang with. You're pretty sure they're not going to die. There's giant Spirit Halloween store skeletons. And so I don't know, maybe Tobe Hooper. I don't know. I think it would be better directed. I don't think it's bad. No shade to Tobe Hooper. I don't think it's poorly directed. I think it's well directed. But there are certain like signature things that are kind of like Spielberg stuff that I would expect to see in this.
I see what you're
You are
saying.
confined to just a house. So there's not like a ton that you can do. But I don't know. It just reminds me a lot of Life Force.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Well, I mean, maybe
keeps the clothes on.
Well, maybe it's okay. Maybe he had more of a say on it than he made it seem like he did.
Well, we're just talking about a movie we watched. I don't really care about
I know.
their little argument. Do you think that Carol Ann was sensitive? That she was a psychic? That's a thing that happens in these movies, right?
Oh, I hadn't thought of it like that, but yeah,
because she talks to the TV people.
Yes, she does.
Also, why are they in the TV?
I have no idea.
Because it's just like
there's
Wave
like
of the Future,
sound waves,
TV.
waves. I don't know.
Well, you pointed out, actually you didn't, but I know you want to, but you've forgotten. You pointed out that the movie begins with TV stations sign off. We don't have this now because TV stations have just decided to be on all day long. But they used to, at midnight or whenever they ran out of programming, would play the Star Spangled Banner, usually have a patriotic...
It was the Star Spangled Banner.
Yeah,
I thought that was just
have a patriotic clip. Well, he was using that to say America, right? Like how he's reading the Reagan book?
Yes.
But what's the point other than like David Lynchian evil lurks in the suburbs?
Yeah.
Because it's...
I feel like that's what they're doing.
I feel like showing a picket fence, then the camera burrows underground, and there's icky worms underneath. I feel like that's more subtle than playing the Star Spangled Banner and showing us the ticky-tacky houses. Yeah. But whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. She might be psychic, but like, I guess I kind of just thought... I don't know. Maybe that makes more sense. I guess I thought like there was something special about her for some reason. Like they said something like... There's something about, like, her energy or what have you. Like, Zelda said something like that. Like, she just reminds them of being alive. Like, she gives off some sort of weird energy.
Speaking of bad pacing, she comes in and they stop the film.
I know they do.
Like, I know,
and
okay,
like
let's look at Ghostbusters.
Let's
look at Ghostbusters. Because I think this shares a lot of DNA with Ghostbusters.
Yeah, definitely.
I know Ghostbusters had been a script for a while, but I can't help but to think that, like, Dan Aykroyd saw this and went, we've got it. This is it. The graphics, the effects are almost completely the same. Although that was, I think they're both ILM. That sort of like, we've shot a puppet or something, and now we're showing it at half opacity with weird lights.
Right.
I'm not criticizing it. I just, and having like ghosts are like, there's 3 balls of light that go swooping down or something like that. But they're in this house, and it's, and we know it's America.
Right.
I don't know because the kid's reading Captain America.
Yeah. Right.
I just didn't see how. Look. Here's the point. We were 40 minutes in, and I wrote on my notes. We're so far from Zelda. It's going to be so long. Then she finally gets there, and she gives us the psychiatrist or psychologist speech from the end of Psycho, and it's just like boring and it's hard to follow, and it's so much different than the scene where the Ghostbusters are thrown in jail, and they're like, oh, this is, the original plans by Ivo Shandor, and he's I looked at Tobit's Spirit's Guide, and it's supposed to channel negative ghost energy.
Right.
And Bill Murray's like, everybody getting this? Because all the other guys in the tank are all like, oh, yeah, they're like looking at it too. And it's probably like a 4-minute scene, 3-4 minutes.
Yeah.
But we've got our stakes. But it's just like she comes in and we couldn't just parse little breadcrumbs throughout the film.
I
No,
know.
we're eating literal breadcrumbs. There's breadcrumbs on our shirt because everybody's eating all the time.
Yeah, I know.
Does the house make you hungry? Was that something?
Well, I didn't get that. If that's what they were trying to do.
Right, right.
is everybody high all the time? And we know mom and dad.
Why is Gene
smoke a
Shalit
lot.
on the TV?
Yeah, right.
Was he like,
I
did
don't
Gene
know.
Shalit shit on Duel or something like that?
I don't
Like,
know.
Why is he putting Gene Shalit on the TV?
Why did he say yes to this?
I didn't like Raiders.
Yeah, right. I'll put you in my movie.
I feel like he raided my
okay.
wallet. Yeah.
I was a little disappointed.
And it escalates so fast from, oh, isn't it so cool this chair moves? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess ghosts are real.
I
Unless
know,
there's a
right?
magnet in the wall.
I know.
And then like, okay, good night, son. Treebeard is here to kill you.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I just think that there are like script pages on the floor somewhere. That's what it feels like to me.
It does.
Too long,
And I don't
cut it
know. I really don't understand like the beginning, like why it takes so long to get to anything. Like, because like so the very beginning, the TV, we see the static, we hear the sound off.
It's not shocker. We're disappointed.
Yes.
No more Mr. Nice
The
Guy.
little girl comes down and is sitting in front of the TV and she's trying to communicate with stuff.
Yes.
So, right.
No, I don't know.
So we get a little bit of that, and then we have 10, 15 minutes of stuff that goes absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, why do we need to see the little boy?
You didn't like the
like
payoff of the daughter having a hickey on her neck when she gets out of the car?
No, I hated that.
What a payoff.
Well, and then like the little boy, we get it. He likes Star Wars. And we have to see
Yeah.
all of his
Yeah.
Star Wars stuff. And for some reason, he has an Alien poster on the wall. You are bad parents if you let your freaking kid see Alien at his age. Just saying. I wouldn't recommend it. But
I
anyways.
think Toby Hooper is like, Star Wars.
Probably.
Sure, yeah, Steve, yeah.
Yeah.
Give me the Chewbacca
Do you
jacket.
want? Should we put?
Put it up there.
Should we put Indiana
Great.
Jones in here too? Like, you know.
No, I'm trying to help George. I'm trying to help George
right,
out. Yeah,
exactly.
George just made a lot of money. He doesn't need your help.
He does not need your help.
Help me. Oh, sorry.
I'm just like the we set the clown doll up, and it takes so long for that to pay off, and that kid, he just puts up with so much crap. It's like, kid, if you don't like the
He's a
creepy
kid.
clown doll,
Yeah,
get rid of it.
he's a meek kid.
I
I
know.
was the same way.
I know.
Here's the
but-
thing. Do you think that Ghostbusters changed this as well? Or maybe, well, Spielberg definitely helped. This film, you know, yes, I said that the doctor is nice, but she's nice more as a woman and a fellow adult to this mom whose ghosts have taken her kids, and she's got to like chase her kids around all day. And it's more just, I'm having an adult conversation with somebody who is scared but is managing it with a little, you know, JD. But I can connect with this person.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the academics are like, they kind of make fun of like the academics.
A little bit.
In
Especially the guy
Ghostbusters,
with the glasses.
yes, they're played by people who are SNL actors,
Yeah.
but they know their stuff. You know,
Right.
they like Ray knows about the full torso apparitions and everything, and you get that in Indiana Jones as well. You know, he succeeds because he's looking for these things that are
Right.
from antiquity, and he knows how to get through the traps and stuff like that because he's a
Right.
smart
They're
guy.
knowledgeable.
And I
they
feel like there's a
don't-
turning point that's happening here in the early '80s where smart becomes important for an action hero. But then, of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger maybe would take care of that. I don't know.
Well, I mean, what do you call it again? I know you've used this term before. Competency porn. You know, like we want to see.
Well, I wouldn't call Ghostbusters competency porn. but
Okay, fair. I guess I wouldn't
they summon a giant marshmallow man.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Also, this is a positive ghost film. There are no positive ghost films anymore.
That's true.
There are none. You'll get films like is it underrated? It's underrated because people have forgotten about it. But the underrated Mama, where you find out that, you know, the ghost is murdering people for sure, but
Yeah.
she has a psychology in that she's just trying to like get her son or daughter back or whatever. But they're all just like, get out.
Yeah,
and like,
right.
oh, they're going to kill the people from The Conjuring or whatever.
Right.
And this is one of those films where it's like, there's peace, there's light, I bring you love. And there's
Yeah.
other things too.
There's one that's
even the
like
big
the beast or
skull
the big
guy,
guy,
is
yeah.
just a person who's lost their way or whatever. And you just don't, that does not exist anymore.
No. I mean, yeah, no, it doesn't. I want to go back a little bit to.
No, we don't have time.
Well, I just want to
Only
say
going forward.
the parapsychologist. I do think that I really liked when she was talking to the mom, like, and it's the next morning, and she's like talking about how, well, I'm going to go back, but I'm coming back. Like, she wants her to know she's scared, but she's going to come back. And I think that
and
they
bring
have like
Zelda,
a really
but she
nice
doesn't
moment.
say that. It's weird.
What was that?
And bring Zelda.
Yeah, I know.
But doesn't say that.
No,
weird.
you're right. You're right.
And
And I'm
she-
going to bring reinforcements.
And her love helps her get her kid, I guess. Now, remember the scene in 2016 Ghostbusters where the Ghostbusters, Abby and the other one, are pulled through the portal and they have to climb out and they come out of the portal and they're all sticky and their hair is white now?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure you remember that.
Okay.
If anybody's listening to this and hasn't seen the
I
movie,
know
that
you're-
happens to
I
the
know
mom
you're
at the end of this
doing-
movie.
Yeah. Yep.
It's great, though. It's so good. Let's talk about my film. I picked
Yes.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Mm-hmm.
Of course I've seen this film. I've
So
seen this
have
film
I.
a million times.
Yeah.
But you know what? We're going to watch it for a treat.
We deserve it. We've seen a lot of crap.
Because we were
So.
talking about vampires and ghosts and werewolves and stuff like that. And I had just an ass full of all of them. And so I'm like, what about the spooky tales of the East?
Sure.
And that is capably compiled by the whitest man on earth, John Carpenter,
Yeah.
in the movie Big Trouble in Little China. What happens in Big Trouble in Little China?
So Jack Burton is a truck driver,
Who?
and Jack Burton, played by Kurt Russell, and he on this particular day is delivering pigs to Chinatown. Anyways, he has a lot of friends in Chinatown. He knows a lot of people, but it seems like he actually doesn't really know a lot of the goings on in Chinatown, as we find out in this movie. Anyways, he plays his friend. His friend's name is Wong.
Oh, don't play with me.
Oh, okay.
His name is pronounced Wang.
Oh,
Although
okay. His
I know
friend
people
Wang.
whose name is spelled Wang, but pronounced Wong.
Yeah,
but
I
it
know.
is Wang.
Okay, his friend Wang and him, along with some other people, they're doing some sort of gambling all through the night, and then they do this one last bet, and Wang loses, and he had bet Jack double or nothing, and so Jack wants his money.
First scene.
But I know, but they go to the airport. Wang's fiance is coming over from China. He's super excited. But a Chinese gang kidnaps her, and they also see Kim Cattrall at the airport, and Jack thinks she's kind of cute. Anyways, there's so much going on in this movie. So they're trying to find Wang's fiance, and they go back to Chinatown, and then there's this huge gang fight that breaks out between these warring gangs. And then the storms, the three storms, thunder, lightning, and rain, just pop out of the sky, and they're super scary.
You just said they were super scary.
Yeah,
You're not recounting everything that happens in the film.
I know that.
You just go. Come on, apply yourself.
Okay, fine. And they were for
No, you go right back into it.
what?
Listen, like this, right?
Okay.
A rambling man truck driver gets caught up in a supernatural gang war in San Francisco's Chinatown.
Okay.
Done. That's the short version. Then we can talk about like monsters and the eyeball thing, but
All right.
you're just literally doing like, all right, now check this out. This is like a room pitch here.
Sorry. I just feel like there's so much going on.
Well, now we're going to talk about all that.
All right.
We just want to set up what it is. This came out in 1986. It was hilariously rushed through production because they were trying to beat Eddie Murphy's film The Golden Child, which was going to come out.
Which I've never heard of.
It came out the same year. I don't think they really beat them by all that much. You never heard of The Golden Child?
No, is it good?
Yeah, it's not great.
Ah,
It's got its good parts.
okay.
Of course, it stars Kurt Russell, Kim Cattrall,
Yes.
and Dennis Dunn, who was in a couple other John Carpenter movies.
And James Hong.
Well, I'm going to get to James Hong. Okay, we'll just do it right now. Yes, he's number 4 billed. James, the legendary James Hong,
Yes.
who is doing like a. I mean, he's old now. He's in his mid-90s.
He's pretty old now.
But he's,
Yeah.
Lo Pan's in a wheelchair, not David Hong. He's still
Yeah.
walking around.
Right.
So he was probably in like his late 40s, early 50s when this is made,
Probably.
right?
Yeah.
But
So he's playing older.
But it's kind of But it's kind of like the Max von Sydow Exorcist thing,
Like
'cause
he
when-
just kind of looked older.
Well, they put that incredibly old makeup on
yes.
him.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
even when I'm watching like Mulan and I'm like picturing the guy in his voice, I think of like a really old looking guy. But
Yeah.
as Lo Pan, he's not that old in this movie.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he is in this and is great. And of course, Victor Wong plays Egg Shen, who is like he steals the film.
He does. Yeah.
He was also in. He hasn't been in quite as much stuff as James Hong, who's been in everything.
He's been in a lot of movies, yeah.
But he was in Tremors, and I think he was in The Last Emperor.
I think he did like what was it called, the Three Ninja movies?
Oh,
too.
did he?
I think he.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he might. Maybe he. I don't know. Maybe he was the master in
Sure.
that or something like that. But I looked him up, and like one of the first things that showed up was the Three Ninja films. Which is kind of funny because I totally saw those, even though I know, like, I think it wasn't that the first one that I picked was the Karate Kid. I'd never seen the Karate Kid, but I saw the Three Ninjas. But go figure, you know.
Go figure, indeed. James Hong, 440 credits on his IMDb.
That is insane.
That is the most. I don't know why we're wasting time with this, but let's do Rod Steiger, maybe.
Okay.
Rod Steiger, 148.
Wait.
Smoked his ass. So why in the hell don't we play Kevin Bacon, which we don't play anymore, really?
No, we
That's
don't.
an old game.
With James Hong?
With James Hong. It
That
should
is
be
a
the 6 degrees of
fantastic
James Hong.
question.
And every answer would be one. James
Yeah.
Hong was in this with Will Smith. The end.
No, you're right. I just saw something interesting about Victor Wong. He apparently was in The Golden Child as well. I just think that's kind of interesting, but maybe not. I don't know.
Well, okay, so here's the deal.
Okay.
And we don't have, I've watched this movie like 100 times, and I don't think I've ever watched any DVD extras or read the Wikipedia page or anything, so I don't know about my facts here. But I do know that John Carpenter always wanted to make a martial arts film.
Okay.
And in this case, maybe because of Eddie Murphy and The Golden Child, somebody was willing to pay for it. Warner Brothers was willing, or Fox was willing to pay for it, and so he made it.
Yeah.
It bombed. It flopped.
What did The Golden Child?
No, this movie.
Oh, this movie.
Yes, this
I was
movie.
going to ask you how well it was received.
No, The Golden Child did okay, but
Okay.
This flopped like a lot of John Carpenter's films, and is looked back on as being, a classic,
A cult classic.
And like
yeah.
you said, nobody talks about The Golden Child anymore.
No. But lots of people talk about this.
Anyway, and what I like about this is, sure, you can't just do. You're not, Ang Lee. You can't, or I don't know, Mel Gibson. You can't just decide that we're going to do this, all with a native cast in another language and not English.
Right.
So he casts Kurt Russell,
Yes.
who basically is just. I'm not talking shit, but is just doing a bad John Wayne impression the entire film. And then he surrounds him with characters who all are more savvy than he is. And
Yeah, that's true.
Except for, that we set up in the first scene, his reflexes. It takes it takes a 6-demon bag and a magic potion and a whole ton of guys who are doing this with their hand doing kung fu to get Lo Pan to the point where Jack Burton can kill him with a knife. Like, he is almost useless in this film. And he is absolutely the outsider. And that's pointed out. And at the same time, all the Chinese actors that they use are super Americanized because they live here. Even at the end, Egg Shen says, because Jack's like, hey, go visit China. And Egg Shen's like, I don't need to go to China. She's wherever I am.
She's in my heart.
And we take, from your salad bar. They are Chinese Americans. It's not that they're like, oh, so inscrutable. Do you know what I mean? This is a story about Chinese American people.
And I think that's great because I don't think we get to see that often.
Well, it's also not insulting.
Yes.
He has to make a movie about
I
Chinese
agree.
people in which Wang is the hero.
Yeah,
isn't
yeah,
he?
yeah.
Jack Burton is like the Chewbacca.
Yes.
He's like the sidekick.
Yeah.
But John Carpenter's like, I think smartly was like, I can't tell this movie from a completely Chinese perspective, so I'll try to bring, like a meeting of the worlds here.
Yeah.
And have this idiot Jack Burton just stumble into like this turf war between magical ghost gangs.
I know.
This is only like 4 years out from Poltergeist, and the effects have changed completely. Now, I don't think John Carpenter had access to like the good effects, but we're not doing the ghosts with the. There's some like matting over things. He goes through walls and stuff like that. But like there's explosions and there's green portals and magic, and you can already see how special effects I think are getting better.
Yeah.
or at least less obtrusive.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the sound effect when he goes through walls too. That was pretty great. Which, maybe
Small pleasures.
Yeah, no, maybe John Carpenter created that. I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
John Wayne. John Wayne would disown Jack Burton. Jack Burton is one of my favorite types of characters. He is the capable buffoon.
Yes.
I wrote Capable Buffalo in my notes, which is a great band name. Don't take it.
Yeah.
But he is a guy who has no idea what's going on. He has a set of skills. It's of questionable use. How often are you going to get to catch something and throw it back at somebody? And also, he's a podcaster.
Is that what's going on?
No, he's
Is he just talking into his radio to anybody
he is
who's
just
listening?
flooding some CB channel with his horse shit all night long on the Pork Chop Express.
I know.
But it reminds me of like a punditry podcasting. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and here's another thing about Barack Obama. Because let's face it, Jack Burton would absolutely be against Barack Obama.
I mean, I could see him doing like a podcast. And I mean, he's like, the way he talks is just so funny. Like the way he tells these stories over the radio. Yeah. Like he is adding his own thing onto it.
Well, he's his own chorus.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like at the beginning, he was like talking about like, I've been all over this, and like this is pretty great.
You paid your dues, and yes, I've paid my dues. The check is in the mail. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like talking about how like, I'm not naive enough to think that we're alone in the universe and stuff like that. It's like, whoa, what are you setting up supernatural stuff here?
Maybe, but remember, it's already set up because this movie opens. The whole movie's a flashback. This movie opens at the end of the incident with Ed Shin come up before, I'm assuming the Attorney General or what do you call it? The prosecutor.
Yeah, right.
Played by Jerry Hardin, who I thought was Harris Yulin, but he's in Ghostbusters 2. Jerry Hardin is in this. I got my Star Trek guest stars mixed up.
Right.
This is Mr. Daytime. And he's so is the whole movie, did it happen this way? Is it told
that's a good point.
In flashback?
Because if it's told in flashback.
Grandpa Peter Falk, here in the form of Egg Shin. And
but
also,
Egg Shin shows him like lightning between his hands. So
if the timeline of the movie continues, does everybody know that magic is real now? Because clearly Jerry Hardin would go, "Oh my God, that's amazing!
Right?
Let me get a camera to film crew to
do that hand thing again."
So I guess his vacation got cut short. We don't know how far in the future it is.
But it's interesting because he does the lightning thing there, but we don't see him use lightning any other time, right? He uses other kinds of magic.
Maybe he got the storm lightning guy's magic. Who knows?
Okay.
I don't think it matters. I think it works, and here's why. It's so dry. But when you watch a John Carpenter movie, you expect dryness, and then later on there'll be a head that's got a vacuum hose neck on a spider body made of human body parts. Like that's all coming, right?
Yeah.
You know that Ice Cube is going to shoot a lot of fool ghosts on Mars.
Yeah, right.
And so this movie also has a build-up, but it's in the 8 to 12 minute range instead of the 40 to 45 minute range.
Right.
Because as soon as they get to the airport, we're off to the fireworks factory.
Yeah.
And we just don't stop.
No.
And there's a calculated escalation in that they get away from the guys. There's another great scene with, I love Dennis Dunn in this movie, where he's like, it's not even safe to walk in the park anymore. It's just like this, it's such an American thing to say, but it goes into that theme of, him just being, an American, but also Chinese. And then they get into the middle of a gang. First they see a funeral, which becomes a gang war, which becomes attacked by three magic guys from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
And then he gets blinded by Lopan, and then they're in the sewers, and it's just like, it just starts popping off.
Yeah. But so much happens in this, but then there's things that are random, but I'm they're never necessarily explained, and maybe that's okay. We got the big monster guy who grabs Kim Cattrall at some point, and then we see him in the back of Jack's truck at the end, and it's supposed to be kind of a little wink to audience.
There are concessions to this just being a comic book, right? This is just a pulp story.
It feels like a comic book.
The characters
I was thinking that while we were watching it.
are attractively two-dimensional, And then there are parts like when they escape the lightning guy, and then they're in another room, and then Egg Shen's,
Yes.
in a thing, and they're, how'd you get up there? Wasn't easy. And the movie just continues.
I know, he doesn't explain it,
Yeah.
but it's great. He doesn't have to.
You've got like the helpful quote unquote Americans. You've got Gracie Law.
Yeah.
Who
I love that her last name is Law. She's
Yeah.
a lawyer.
So who's a human rights lawyer, and tries to do good work, I guess, in the system for immigrants. But every time she comes around, they're all like,
trouble.
"Oh boy!" I bet she
Oh,
says
man.
hi in Chinese, but says it wrong.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Ni now or whatever. And they're
Oh,
like,
my gosh.
Hi, Gracie. Yeah,
Well, then
said The Rock wants to remake this, right?
Yes, I was
Which-
going to ask you about that.
I guess first of all, it's perfect. Why remake it?
I know, don't remake
But if you
it.
did it, if it never existed and we needed to manifest it, yeah, The Rock should play Jack Burton, fine. But I hope that they give a lot more to the Chinese characters and the Chinese people, because when you're trying to like validate like Chinese characters and Chinese
Yes.
American voices on screen, maybe don't go to a brothel. It goes right to a brothel. And
I
it's
know.
like, okay,
I
well,
know.
all
I
right.
know. I know. The floating eye monster guy that's like one big eye and then has a bunch of smaller eyes.
Yeah.
Doesn't that kind of remind you? I know it's a little different, but it kind of remind you of a beholder from D&D.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just.
You're going to
thinking
tell me
that.
John Carpenter didn't grow up playing D&D?
I'm sure.
Actually, well, he
well,
might
I
have
mean, he
played it
wouldn't
as
have
an
been growing
adult.
it up.
Yeah, he was older, but
yeah, but I could see that.
he must have.
Yeah,
He likes video games.
yeah,
He's definitely fought a beyonder. Oops, not that. A beholder in a video game.
yeah. What was with like the snake guy that like grabbed one of the like gang members early on when they were in the building,
I don't know.
and then like Egg Shen is like, he threw like some sort of bomb or magic thing at it. He's like,
Some
he
bath
won't
beads.
come back.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that guy's just gone now. Like, that guy's dead.
Yeah, but
But-
that's the whole point,
I
because
guess.
we see Jax, has bravado, but we see his growing terror because he is culture shocked,
Mm-hmm.
but he's also like reality shocked
Mm-hmm.
because he just found out that ghosts and like lightning guys are real. And so yeah, it's a little tweak of that, because that thing comes out and he'll come out no more. And Jack's like, "What? What'll come out no more?"
I know.
And they just move on. Yeah.
Well, and I like too at the beginning, like when they get stuck in like the gang war in the street, right? Like, you get the feeling that Jack has been coming and doing deliveries and hanging out in Chinatown quite a bit, but this is a new experience for him. And like, the gangs know they're there. They're in the truck, but they don't attack them at all. They're just so focused on each other. And like, Wang was like, "Oh, Chinese standoff," and Jack's like, "What is that?" And he's just like, "Shh, stay quiet." We don't really get a satisfying answer,
It's
but
probably not anything,
I
because
know.
because Wang has seen the Wild Bunch probably too, because
Yeah.
he lives in America.
yeah, I know.
I think it's perfect. And speaking of that, I think that Egg Shen in this movie gives a kind of like okay primer on like Chinese spirituality. He runs through it really fast, but he talks about the sort of melting pot of like
Yeah.
influences,
Yeah.
and the Zen Buddhism, and everything else. And so,
Yes.
yeah, it's like he
Calls
kind
it a
of
salad
spells it
bar.
all out for you. Well, yeah, the salad bar, yeah.
Which was funny. And I
The
think
ultimate
illustrates
evil
why.
spirit.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of easy exposition in this film, and it's not like the Zelda exposition
Yeah,
in
where the film stops.
Poltergeist, but it's just characters just say things. They say them like they're in a school play. Sometimes a character looks at them like, "What?" And we move on. But you've got the information,
Yeah.
so what's the problem?
Well, and I like they make a big deal about like, so Lo Pan, apparently he has to marry a woman who has green eyes and like poke her with his needle
And then sacrifice her, I guess?
sacrifice her
Yeah.
in order for his curse to be lifted or whatever. I don't know why he's waited until now, because he's been cursed for a long time.
Yeah.
But he does the tests on both Wang's fiance and Gracie, and they both pass the test. And he's like, "Oh, marry them both." It's like,
Right.
of course you will.
Well, sure.
I know I've seen like a cosplay of like a
Can he poke the one that he plans to kill anyway?
Yeah, right.
Right? Because you have to marry her and then sacrifice her, but he's going to get around that by marrying one and sacrificing the other. F, marry, kill. F, marry, sacrifice.
Yeah.
But then he pokes Miao Yin a million times with a needle. Like if you're just gonna chop Gracie's head off anyway, why not just poke her with the needle?
I know. But like,
you don't want a wife full of holes.
I don't. Maybe he doesn't care.
No joke.
Wow.
No, given. No extra joke.
Yeah.
Do you like the white slavery in the movie?
The white slavery? What do you mean?
I mean, Lopan's a bad guy, but our heroes rescue like a dozen like prostitutes from like his giant
that's true.
castle / warehouse.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, do you like, or do you think, excuse me, that John Carpenter likes putting Kurt Russell through hell? There's very well, I mean, there's stuntmen in this, but there's a lot of hero shots with characters underwater, hanging upside down,
almost falling backwards,
rolling in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And then if you look at his other movies, just being, it was actually cold in some parts of the Thing set, I think, but also just being in all the
maybe, but
the
I
hot
don't.
parka the whole time, and then he's got a surf race Peter Fonda and like all kinds of stuff.
But I don't think it's done in a with malicious intent.
No, but like
and obviously
there's something kind of funny about like putting your buddy in a terrible situation.
Yeah, and obviously Kurt Russell like really enjoys working with him because he's worked with him a lot. So I mean,
he likes his music, man. Hey, play some more of that music. There's a joke that Endgame stole from this, where they beat the guards and they lock up Thunder, and then they've like scavenged these guns, and then they all go like, "Give me that gun," and then they all trade guns like 3 times.
Yes, that was good. I was gonna say before I've seen a cosplay of either Lopan and I can't remember Wang's fiance's. It was Lopan and then like one other woman. And I can't remember if she had like blonde hair or if she was Asian. I can't remember. Listen, this is terrible, but
this is a bad time.
But I'd like to see a cosplay with Lopan and like 2 women.
Okay.
Have both the brides be there.
Nice work.
I'd like to see that.
Someday I want to see a prince with a diamond and pearl. I've seen a prince with an Apollonia.
Yeah.
I've seen a prince with. Oh no, did I? I was going to say maybe Wendy and Lisa, but I guess not. That'd be another 2 women. But I want to see new Power Generation prince with diamond and pearl.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it. Well, not us do it, but
no, we would need somebody else.
Yeah.
Oh, you're the right height for Prince. I also like that this movie. Its biggest success, in my opinion, is it's just a place you want to be.
It's fun.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I bet it plays endlessly on cable. I bet people burn it out on their DVD players. It's just fun. A lot of the jokes definitely could be a notch higher if they brought Patton Oswalt in to punch up the jokes.
Sure.
But it doesn't matter because you don't get the feeling that like any of these characters are comedians or like are the really funny one or whatever. In fact, the funny one is Eddie, and he's scared stiff for pretty much the entire movie.
Yeah, right.
Although I like what he's like. I like the fact that we learn more and more about these characters. Apparently, they're all like secret agents and ninjas in their spare time.
Apparently,
yeah, because Jack shoots somebody. It's clearly the first time Jack's ever shot anybody.
Yeah,
but the guy deserved it.
Right.
And Eddie's like, "This is the first time you ever plugged somebody?" Jack's like, "Of course not."
I know.
It's like, how many people you kill, Eddie?
I know, right?
But just there's a lot to say for cadence and timing. I know we make fun of cadence and timing as like, oh, you wrote a joke, fill in the blank of a show name that you don't like.
Right.
I've got a couple. But the movie already catches you, and it's got you, and it works. And so there's just the things like where they all drink the potion they get in the elevator, like, I feel pretty good. I'm not scared at all. It's getting kind of hot in here a little bit. Like, it doesn't matter what he says. It's just at that point we're on the hook.
Yeah.
But they also construct things that clearly not only took a long time to set up, but put the actors at risk. There's the thing where they dive through the thing and they're escaping through the tube, and this is like these are Hollywood actors up to their chins in water. And she picks up. Oh, it's Wang. And he's like, "Where's Margot? I don't know."
Yeah.
He goes back down underwater. Where's Eddie? Oh, I don't know.
I know.
Where's Jack? Can't tell you. There's like 5 actors all swimming underwater.
It's intense. It's really intense. And
but
then,
it's silly because it's a cartoon bit.
Yeah.
You know, it's like 1, 2, 3.
And then she's so happy to see Jack, and she gives him a huge hug. And then they kiss.
He needs a consent class, but she's into him from like the beginning, right?
I don't know. Maybe not the beginning. Because when he first comes up to her at the airport, he's like, "Can I ask you something?" And she's like, "No."
Wait, no, a serious question.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, absolutely not. They've already got some Hoxian banter. And then he's like, well, let me just come straight out. You know, you want to go somewhere? And she's like, well, I couldn't go somewhere with somebody in your condition.
Yeah, right.
He's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
It's Miller time.
I guess she can smell the beer on him.
They're already doing a thing.
I guess. But then he doesn't even kiss her goodbye. He's kind of a jerk about it.
It's pretty cool.
You like it, huh?
It specifically ruined a couple of relationships for me.
Why is that?
Trying to emulate that coolness. Women don't want you to do that. They don't like that. They want you to kiss them.
Yeah, they don't care if you're cool or not when they want you to kiss them. That doesn't matter.
Come on, get with the program, girls. Don't you?
I don't care if you're cool. If I want to kiss,
you want cool guys, and then once they're in the trap, then it's like, stop being cool, rub my feet. This would have been huge on Netflix, don't you think? This came out. Somebody had to pay $25 million for it. Mm-hmm. A studio exec probably spun around in his seat after the screening. Is like, who is this for?
Yeah, I know. Right?
Chinese people?
Whoa.
The computer wore tennis shoes fans? Like, what? Yeah. Who is this for?
I know.
But now, they try to make things like this on purpose for streaming spaces and for, online content. Yes. And so if this had come out, maybe that wouldn't have happened if this hadn't come out. But if this fell through a time warp and came out, Netflix is like, we found this great gem and just played it. It would destroy the internet. People would love this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's pretty popular nowadays.
For sure.
But
The Rock wants to remake it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think The Rock could be... play the Jack Burton character.
But here's the thing about The Rock. He literally has them count how many punches he takes, and then he has to give that many or more to the guy he fights.
Oh, yeah,
so there is... And I think the ego stuff on the set of Fast and Furious was him, because I don't think Vin got to 9 movies by being a super dick about everything, right?
Oh,
I mean, although I know that he orchestrates things to make himself look really cool as well. But those two guys couldn't get along. And so I don't think, will The Rock be able to be, sure, a monkey humped his face in The Rundown, but that was 15 years ago. Will he be able to get back to that monkey face humping area where he can be, we both had a straight face when I said that.
I know.
Where he can be a buffoon.
Well, and that's what I was calling to mind when I was like, yeah, The Rock's done that before. He could do that again. What was that?
That was me giving you a sign as a producer that we're going to wrap it up. But
okay.
Now this will be the outro instead.
Okay, sorry. Well, to make it more, I can't wait. I don't read lips. Read my lips. I don't read lips.
I gave you the hand sign that I've used for years.
I didn't.
Anyway,
okay.
This is how the sausage is made.
No.
So we're shutting it down. We'll be back on another channel, hopefully, depending. We're going out of town this weekend, so maybe you can drive and I can do all the work in the car on the internet. But we'll see how it works. We're doing something for another show. Listen to our other shows on the Just Enough Trip Network if you want to know what those are or what's going on. And that's it. We're signing off. Until next time.